29th of October 2023. You're very welcome back to Real True Education, not fake news. Germany is finished is the title of this video. I can't cope with the amount of topics I could talk about, but we have to, I can't upload too many or people won't have time to view them. This is Germany is finished. Now, the United States built the Panama Canal years ago, and today it can't build even railroads. If you were living in one part of America and you wanted to go by rail to another part, it's an absolute nightmare. Except in the big cities like New York and that, there really is no rail transport. They're not capable of building rail transport as such. Now, there are railways and there are freight moves by it, but yet the roads are the main way. It's clear when you're there that that is the case. Anyway, I move on from that to talk about Annalena Baerbock. And she has said Ukraine must win the war. Ukraine must win the war. And she has called President Xi a dictator. Now, she is the German foreign minister, and to hear a foreign minister of Germany speak like that is ridiculous. I mean, long ago, it'd be the Chancellor would have to make those statements. Very, very critical statements of other countries would really have to go through the leader, the Chancellor. Yet she's coming out making these statements, and this one is a bit of a screwball in many ways. Her name is Annalena Baerbock, right? So she calling Xi a dictator. So Biden did more or less the same, and he said he'd cripple Saudi Arabia and bring them to book and all of this. But China has received visits from Antony Blinken, Yellen, Raimondo, Sullivan. Sullivan met in Malta, and all to try and get China to lend money to the United States. And this is the funny thing about it. America seems to be in a poor way financially at this time, though I will not go as far as to back up many videos online there that says it's about to collapse. I won't go that far, but we'll have a look at that in a separate video. But I mean, the fact that they're begging China to buy their bonds is funny. So here we have this duplicity really and hypocrisy going on. Now, I'm not a backer of communist states. For most of my life I back proper democracy, but the democracies are failing, and we see in Europe, as I have often said, they're refusing to comply with the basic fundamental law of the EU on the environment. So it's not a democracy when an ordinary citizen goes to court and the judge tells them those laws don't apply. Well, that's what we voted on, like, and that happened me physically, and it has happened another crowd, Friends of the Irish Environment, who were rejected in the High Court and the Court of Appeal, but the Supreme Court sided with them. This shows you how the whole thing is so corrupt. Now, what's happening is Germany is seriously being de-industrialized. It's gone to the stage which I would say we'll not be able to get some of the great German cars that we liked, and I like them. It's gone to that stage. Will they be about it at all? Will they be able to make them? And of course, they lied to us. They said, oh, we'll build all this renewable energy and we're going to work on it. Whereas, in fact, the plan was we're going to get cheap Russian gas and go to live on that. Never told the truth. They were lying about it. And the next thing, as events would have happened, the gas was cut off. And many believe it was the United States blew up the pipeline, the Nord Stream 2. So you think that would put Germany frightened of the United States. Instead of that, they're even more in their pocket. Now, Herr Schulz, that's the Chancellor, has said that China is a bad communist country. Ursula von der Leyen has waged war on China over car manufacture, particularly electric cars. The lovely plan to have all these electric cars was hijacked by China, who's going to flood the market with their models, and Germany won't be able to sell their ones at all. And add that to the fact that the United States has imposed tariffs on European cars and non-USA made cars, and they're in a right rut, right? The Central Bank of Germany has told bankers to stop doing business with China. The Central Bank of Germany has told bankers to stop doing business with China. They believe that Russia and China should be out for doing business. Russia and China should be out. Now, just think of that. Think of everything you have in your pocket and on your computer and everything. Stopping China. So we have the build up to a war here. I mean, the thing is, China may not have backed the United States and Europe on the sanctions against Russia, but that's their business. Surely it's not enough to go attacking China. Yet there's a war brewing between between the West, led by the United States and Biden, and China. There is already one on Russia, but they've extended it now to include China. Now, the mindset of the EU is that the EU is a garden. So I'm living in rural Ireland. I'm in a garden. Oh, they want to come over and dig it up for me. I need to get ready for next year. Garden. And the rest of the world is a jungle. So to them, the United States is a jungle. Canada is a jungle. Australia is a jungle. China, Russia, that's the jungle. We're the nice, tempered people. Oh, we're the real nicey-niceys. Oh, we're lovely. Oh, we're gorgeous. Oh, we're lovely. Oh, we virtue signal. Oh. And they won't even let processed food from Africa into the EU. This is the kind of crack they're at. Now, of course, the Germans, they used to say the Germans never make small mistakes, and that is very true. That is very true. The idea, I thought when I was voting for the EU, and I did vote for the EU, that it was to keep China in check. Or sorry, to keep Germany in check. To keep Germany in check. Instead of that, they put them in charge of us. That was another lie we were told. Right? Now, so, and then there's that other one, Newland. Is it Victoria Newland? She's some model. She's the one who went over and invoked the revolution in Ukraine and brought on all this misery. And she tried it in Africa, and they brought her in. They gave her a quick cup of coffee and run her back out as quick as ever they could in Nigeria. Okay. Now France has lost Africa. France has been kicked out of Africa more or less. In Nigeria and other countries there, Burkina Faso and other countries there, Mali, and they're losing. So they're now, and there's riots at home, they're facing the poverty too. So couple that with Germany. France is the next biggest country in the EU. Now, so now look at the infrastructure. Years and years ago, it must be 15 years ago, around that, there was a big hullabaloo, a big opening of the Nabucco pipeline. And the idea was to bring natural gas from the Caspian Sea into Europe. Presumably it was Germany or somewhere. I don't know where it was going, but it was called the Nabucco because that was the name of a Verdi opera. Nabucco, must be. I don't know much about it, but that's what they said anyway. So anyway, they had a big celebration. We're going to build this. Now, bear in mind also that the EU has imposed last year 70 billion in carbon taxes on its citizens. 70 billion. Right? And their idea is to build a like of this and to coax Africa to do certain things that they approve of. As the South African president says, the EU gives us lectures and the Chinese give us airports. Right? So anyway, this pipeline never was built. Never ever was built. It was all a pipe dream. All a pipe dream. Whereas in Russia and China, there's a scheme called the Power of Siberia pipeline. Power of Siberia. It's not, some people think it's Paris to Siberia. It's power, P-O-W-E-R, to Siberia. And that's a very difficult pipeline. It's almost complete. They've agreed to build it, and this is going to pump natural gas from Siberia directly into China. Just think of the strategic importance of that. And square that with Eamon Ryan, our Minister for Energy in Ireland, refusing a licence to drill for oil in Ireland. Just think of that. But this is the point. The Nabucco pipeline never was built after years and years. The Power of Siberia is up and running, and almost complete. Okay, pipeline. Okay, so as I said, the US hasn't been able to build on its original progress. I mean, when Henry Ford's time and all that, it was powering ahead. And this private industry in America has done pretty good, but it's gone down big time. Although there's a present slight resurgence in the economy I'll deal with later. So Europe can build nothing. Europe can build nothing. Ireland can't build a children's hospital. It's gone on for a lifetime, several times over budget. They're incapable of designing, figuring it out, get an engineer to draw it, get it checked, put it out, do an EIA, which should be done. There's none on that as far as I know. And putting it out to planning and getting it built. They have the planning permission, but they're just simply unable to build it. They're simply unable to build it. Whereas there are private companies builders in Ireland. There are several, I don't need to name them, and they're completing everything that they get when they get an order from an insurance company, or they get an order from somebody else or something, they'll slap it up in no time, and with good quality and with all the regulations complied with. But the Irish government simply cannot do it. Now, Russia has built a railway link between Russia, Iran and Saudi. Now, I'll not tell you is it complete, but it's well on. There's some railway link, no problem. It's only in the last few years they've got down to do this. Russia, Iran and Saudi Arabia. And that's helping to cure the bad feeling between Iran and Saudi Arabia. You see how Russia is trying to peace deal. You see China was trying to peace deal. And in fact, Saudi Arabia was in the process of trying to open a relationship with Israel with a view to try and soften and settle the Palestine-Israel war. So you see the difference in the thinking of these idiots, right? So Ireland can't manage its rivers. It cannot solve the flooding that takes place every year. There's a big how do you do in the newspapers, a big how do you do on RTE, which is different to mine on the news programmes. What are we going to do? What's going to be done? And then, of course, all we get is climate change, climate change, climate change. One woman from down in Middleton said, it's definitely climate change. Did she ever ask, why has anything been done? Has any engineer drawn up a plan? The proper process is an SCA, an EIA, an AA under the Habitats Directive, and get the levels right. If I'm good at anything, it's levels. I did several videos on trying to cure the problem that in Ireland, an awful lot of buildings have the wrong sewer level. They can't figure it out. The right level is about 1 in 43. And if you're measured in metres, it's 1 metre in 43. If you're measured in feet, it's 1 foot in 43. But they get it all mixed up. Oh, I know one fella says it's an inch in 60 metres or an inch in 43 metres. Whatever it is, there's a margin between 20 and 60, depending on condition. But they can't get into their head that you must use the same unit for the level, the drop, as you do for the length. Now, that's not in the big private companies. The guys that's doing that wouldn't survive long, but there are small builders doing it, and it's an absolute disaster if you have to be out poking the toilet on a bank holiday weekend. Right now, so Ireland can't manage the rivers. They can't manage them, full stop. They don't know where to start. And all the TDs want to do is get their own phobies out with their big diggers and pay them, and then make a hames of it and talk about it more. Now, Cyprus years ago said, 20 years ago, that it had gas. It had discovered gas in Cyprus, and it was going to supply it to its neighbouring countries. And that's 20 years ago. There's nothing. There's nothing yet. Now, so as the Chinaman said, to repeat, the EU gives us lectures and China gives us airports. That's the situation. Germany is going down the pipes. They shut down the nuclear power station. They insisted that wind energy worked. They insisted that windy and solar energy worked. They insisted electric cars were the future. Now their industry's going. BASF has gone partly to China. Their car industry is on its knees. By going electric, they left a door open for China, and they can't compete with the electric, whereas if they had to stay with their petrol and diesel, they would be able to compete with their good makes in Germany. So it's now on its knees, coupled with France on its knees, and if those two countries are struggling, that means there'll be very little for the rest of the EU. Ireland is a net contributor to the EU. Italy and Spain and Portugal were sucking off the EU, trying to suck off the northern states. There's a big question of whether the northern states, such as Holland, Belgium and Germany, should subsidise Italy, Spain and Portugal. And you will remember when they weren't in the euro, their money was counted in millions of lira and all of that. They were printing it as if there was no tomorrow. Now the EU has done a good bit of printing as well. But anyway, without going any more, folks, and without appearing to be too giving out, our Irish government will do exactly what Germany and France tells them, particularly Germany. If you listen to Ryan, most of what he's getting is from the German Green Party. They're turning now because they realise that the migrants is a big problem. And there's a huge pushback from what they call right-wing Alternative for Germany voters. But my point is, it's too late. There's no point in me giving out now. I tried my best to warn about a quarter of all public representatives in Ireland that what they're trying to do is a disaster. And they laughed and they laughed. Now we see the situation where it's going. I don't want to go along with all the videos on the internet and YouTube and say the whole thing's going to collapse. That is not looking too good. I'm not convinced. I can't just say exactly it will. I think people should be prepared for it. Where is the income going to come? And what are they doing to me? With a few cows and a few calves, trying to mind them real well and produce good food, they're trying to shut me down. And they have a new scheme out there called the Suckler Carbon Scheme. And you want to see the rules and regulations. You'd really want to be a green madman. And I have decided to pull out, not have anything to do with it. They're making it impossible for us to do the basic thing we do and sell our good food all over the world. This is how ridiculous this all is. This is how ridiculous it all is. I'm less than 16 minutes, folks. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. We'll take the cap off, that's cold as it was, and we'll see you back for something else. I hope that's not all is given out. I hope that you enjoyed that video, and I hope you can check it out, and I'll be trying to post stuff underneath. I'm a bit lapsed that way. I sometimes forget about it. I'll try and post videos underneath on that, but it's not looking good. What's our future going to be? We had a grand situation in Ireland. We were producing the beef. We were producing certain things like McHale engineering. We were producing stuff like that. Germany was producing the good cars, and so was Japan. And we were exchanging one for the other, and everything was all right. And we were taking in our oil from Arabia, buying the oil from Norway and Arabia, and we were selling them our meat. It looked all right to me, and they had to stop that too. They had to try and block it with their carbon taxes and everything else. And as I say, they have a huge big fund, 70 billion last year, and they want to go out and give a bit of it here and there in Africa. They want to tell the Africans what to do, and the Africans are coming around to realise, and the Chinese are realising that they're only paper men, they're only paper bags. There's the bit of money they have, by the time you get it, it'll get nowhere. They can't build anything at home, and they're certainly not going to build anything abroad. And the right way for the foreign countries like Africa and others is just take whatever you can of them, take enough of them to do, and let them hump off with themselves. They won't last. They can't go on with this baloney that they're at. We'll see you back for something else. Bye bye. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and please comment. Thank you.